Your brakes aren't the only thing burning up. Your engine is paying the price. Riding the brakes creates repeated heat cycles that strain systems far beyond the pads and rotors. It's a hidden tax on your engine, transmission, and fuel economy. In this video, you'll see how that heat spreads and why smooth driving instantly relieves the stress. I'll show you the exact technique, anticipation, spacing, and controlled engine braking that reduces wear without over-revving or risky downshifts. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. You press the pedal to stay safe, and it feels responsible. But the heat building at each wheel doesn't stop at the rotor. It travels slowly and quietly through parts that never signed up for it. That fever creeps into hubs, bearings, calipers, and the rubber that keeps fluid where it belongs. The more often you touch the pedal, the more the temperature climbs, and the less margin your car has when you actually need a strong stop. Riding the brakes looks harmless because it's light pressure, not a panic stomp. You hold a little pedal in traffic to keep gaps tight. You rest your foot on a downhill to stay in control. It feels smooth and conservative. The problem isn't the force, it's the time. Constant contact keeps energy flowing into the rotor without a brake to shed it. Even at low speeds, that trickle of friction turns into steady heat soak. By the bottom of a short grade, you've turned the brakes into a slow-cooking surface that never cools. Here's the part most drivers miss. The rotor isn't a heat storage locker. It radiates and conducts that energy into the hub and bearing races. Calipers soak it up too, and the rubber dust boots and piston seals face temperatures they were never meant to endure for long. The farther that heat travels, the more parts change behavior. Grease thins or thickens in the wrong places, seals harden, and tolerances shrink as metals expand. The brake pedal you thought was protecting you starts to dull your stopping power. Run a simple experiment in your head. Same short downhill, 2 styles. In the first, you rest your foot with constant light pressure. In the second, you let the car roll a bit, then brake firmly and cleanly, then release. The constant contact style keeps surface temps elevated the whole way, priming the system for fade as the pad's friction drops when overheated. The pulsed approach builds heat in bursts, then gives the rotor airflow to recover. By the time both cars reach the bottom, the first driver's brakes feel spongier and smell faintly hot, while the second driver still has bite in reserve. Over time, those heat cycles add up. Pads can glaze, smoothing their surface and trimming the coefficient of friction. Rotors can develop hot spots that lead to uneven feel and pulsing. Caliper seals harden from repeated exposure, risking small leaks and sticky pistons that hold pads against the rotor. Each issue reduces braking efficiency, so you press a little more, making even more heat the next time. It's a loop. Think of the wheel bearings next. When they live in a heat bath, the grease doesn't behave as designed. It can thicken locally and create extra drag. That drag translates into parasitic losses. The wheels don't roll as freely, so the engine has to work a touch harder to maintain the same speed. You won't feel it at the pedal, but your fuel gauge will notice over weeks. There's another quiet cost in traffic. The alternator has to supply that electrical draw, adding tiny load to the engine. It's small, but in stop and go, thousands of extra activations add up to measurable fuel penalties. You're paying in heat and in fuel for the same habit. And that extra drag doesn't stop at the wheels. It forces the engine and transmission to compensate on every trip, altering shift timing and throttle response in ways you don't love. So what's the daily habit that starts this heat and drag loop? Riding the brakes. Most drivers do it without noticing, and it sends stress far past the pads. Now that you've seen how heat spreads, let's follow the stress into the transmission and drivetrain. If your brakes run hot, why does your engine feel tired and your transmission shift harsher? Every unnecessary tap lights the brake lamps, because heat and drag don't stay put. They change how the whole drivetrain behaves. When the brakes add resistance, even slightly, the engine has to deliver more torque for the same road speed. That keeps the torque converter unlocked longer at low and mid speeds, which means extra slippage and more heat in the transmission fluid. You press a little more on the throttle to maintain the gap, and that small habit multiplies across every block. Here's the chain. Hot brakes raise rolling resistance. The car needs more throttle to hold pace. The torque converter lingers in its slip zone because the control logic sees load and delays lockup. Transmission temps creep up. The ECU trims for that load, and the cooling system handles more heat. The work spreads. Engine, converter, transmission, then back to the brakes at the next stop. One habit pulls every component into the cycle. Now contrast 2 drivers in the same rush hour lane. Driver A leaves a buffer, coasts early, and brakes in firm pulses only when needed. Their revs settle low between events, and upshifts happen cleanly with quick converter lockup. Driver B rides the pedal to hold a tight gap. Their RPM hangs 300 to 500 higher in each gear. Upshifts arrive later, and the converter unlocks with every twitch of the pedal. The result is a choppy pattern of short shifts and frequent downshifts that stack heat in the fluid and waste fuel. Run a short urban loop, 3 miles, 9 lights, mild grades, smooth style first, coast into reds, steady throttle, 2 clean brake events per light cycle. Fuel used, about 1/10 of a gallon in a compact. Average trans temp only nudges above baseline, and the converter spends most time locked once rolling. Stop count is lower because momentum carries through timed greens. Now brake riding on the same route. Small pedal pressure almost constantly, plus quick taps. Fuel used climbs noticeably, with more time spent in lower gears. Average trans temps run warmer from frequent unlocks. Hybrids suffer a different penalty. Constant friction braking steals energy that regen could have captured, shrinking electric assist and forcing the engine to step in more often. EVs lose regen capacity too, turning electrons into heat at the rotors instead of storing them. Why does the fuel hit feel so sharp? Increased drag means the throttle opens more for the same speed. Under extra load, the ECU enriches transiently to protect components and maintain smooth torque, especially at lower RPM where the converter is slipping. Those richer moments add up over a commute. You don't see it on the dash instantly, but the pump bill will tell the story by week's end. Think of the drivetrain as a relay team. Every unnecessary brake tap hands the baton to the engine a split second sooner and demands a sprint. The converter sprints next, soaking heat while it slips. The transmission sprints to catch a gear under load. No single burst looks dramatic, but lap after lap, the team gets slower and more fatigued. There's a smarter way to keep speed without cooking parts. Controlled engine braking, downshifting within reasonable RPM and road speed, lets the engine absorb some of the work while keeping brakes cooler. It has limits. Snap downshifts at high RPM can shock the drivetrain and spike revs. The safe approach is modest steps, early, with light throttle closed, so vacuum and compression do the slowing rather than friction material.